Hello, hi, good evening, and happy Wednesday. And this is, of course, 9 p.m. It is Ask Andrew Anything about email marketing. Uh, my name is Andrew Wong. If you are new to this show, I show up live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. And the purpose is to answer your questions on and anything on email marketing. Okay. And hi, Bob. Bob is my LinkedIn Sifu. If you want to, do really, really well on LinkedIn, get connections on LinkedIn, please look out Bob Lowe. And he's been a great help. Okay. And he's mentioning about why got big. See, the problem is this. The pre-show video is about 5 minutes. And our friend only pick up that couple of seconds shot about a girl that's about to, jump into the sea. And she happens to be wearing a bikini. What can I say? Anyways, Bob, thanks so much for showing up. And okay, let's do a quick introduction. If you're new to me, like I say, my name is Andrew, and I help businesses build deeper relationships with their prospects and also clients through two methods of email. One is inbound, which is people who have given you permission to send emails. The other one is B2B outreach. Primarily, why B2B? Because you don't do outreach for B2C because the audience is just too large. Okay. And there's one question related to this, which I will answer in a while. So B2B outreach or traditional inbound to increase your leads and also your sales. And if you are wondering how you can actually submit your questions, go to this particular site. It's ans.digital. That's my website. Slash ask, and you will get a Google form. Fill in your email address and also submit your questions. I will answer them in the following week. And if you have a phone with you and you just don't want to go through the hassle of typing in, point your phone or your camera to the QR code, and it will lead you to the same website. Okay. And if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, which is why I met Bob, and this is where basically I do this because my audience hang out there. All right. Not necessarily on Facebook. I'm pretty sure maybe not on TikTok, but LinkedIn is my preferred, and that's why I'm there. So if you want to follow me on social to get my thoughts, for example, or impromptu writing, like today I wrote about. One day I was writing about spam. That's how we got into this, and today I talk about writing. Right, the idea of using social media as a platform for you to practice writing. So go to my LinkedIn profile. It's ans.digital. This is a short link that will link you to my profile. And if you like what I write or you like what I post, you can follow me or even hit the bell button so that you'll be notified whenever I make a post. So let's go to the first question of the night. And this is coming from Chris. And Chris been saying, I've been hearing a lot about segmenting the email list and how do you go about doing it. I think I've answered this before, but Chris, for your sake, since you submitted, I would give you my take on how you can actually do segmenting. Okay. So let's say we have maybe three products. Okay. So we have product A, we've got a product B, and we've got a product C. And when people submit so-called subscribe to your list, for example, you're not sure, right? So what you want to do is, okay, there are three methods of doing this. One is you must use this method called link tracking. Okay. It is available in most of the email service provider. The concept is you assign a particular link, and this link has to be, let's say, go to a thank you page, right, on your website. And it has a specific URL, right? So you link to this, and whenever you tell your SP, whenever somebody clicks on this link to this page, then you bucket them into whatever groups that you want. Okay. So you will have three URL page, and each one points to, let's say, A, B, and C. So that's how you can do it. The idea behind it of link tracking, that's how it works. Okay, somebody clicks on the link. If it's click on link A, it goes to group, or either you tag it with group A, group B, and group C. So what you need to do is when you run, let's say the best one is probably your welcome sequence. So when somebody signs up to your list, you have a couple of emails, maybe 3 emails, right? Uh, welcome to talk about what you do, to welcome them to your list, for example. And in one of your emails, you probably give them 3 options, for them to self-select. So the most obvious one is, if you, for example, let's say if you're running a pet shop and you have obviously dog owners, cat owners, for example, and maybe some other animals. And each one of them is, let's say one is dog, one is cat, and let's say one is others or whatever it is. Then you can then say, could you tell me a bit about yourself? Which one is your favorite pet, or which are the pet that you have at home now? So it could be one dog, one cat, and then one others, for example. So when they click on this, automatically they can then be so-called categorized into different groups. And from then on, now that you know each one, their preference, your email sequence is directed specifically to their preference already. So, Chris, when you do segmenting, the reason why I've advised you to do segmenting is because you want your emails to relate specifically to your user or to your reader. Okay. So if you write, in general pet shops, and the person, some of your emails maybe it's about cats, and the guy don't have cats as a pet, then they will probably ignore it. Okay, and they don't even know whether you're going to talk about dogs or whatever it is. But in virtue of doing this, you'll be having emails that are very specific to the reader's interest. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. The other way, the second method is each of your emails, for example, okay, you may have, let's say, one email that talks about dogs, one email that talks about cat, and one email that talk about others, for example. In this case, then it is very clear, one CTA, and then one message and one email. Okay. So whenever, let's say, if I'm a cat owner, I look at something about dogs, yeah, fine, I may read your email, but I'm not going to take action because it's not my pet. But if I see the next one or the next day, an email about cats, maybe some tips, right? Or maybe some health related items that the pet owners or the cat owners needs to know about. And this one doesn't have to be, it could be a video, right? It could be any other thing, as long as the key thing about lead tracking is as long as there's a valid URL. So it could be somebody else's video. For example, let's say you discover on YouTube there's a very interesting video about cats and you want to share it to your audience. So you can do that in your email and you have the link. So what you do is you then tag this link, right? Although it's not your asset, you tag this link and say, if somebody clicks on this link, send it to the cats group. So you do this over time, right? Then, because not everybody during their welcome sequence would self-identify. So you want to make sure that over time, as you send your daily emails or weekly emails and all those things, you be cognizant of the fact that you want to slowly segment them, right? So once they segment them from then on, okay, it's easier for you now to write sequences. So if I have an offer that's related to dog owners, who do I send? I'm not going to send to all the ABC groups. I'm going to send to the dog owners group, and that's about it. So that's how you have high open rates, high click-through rates, because it's relevant. Okay. The third method is you can then filter upfront. Instead of waiting for the email sequence, you can filter upfront, and you do that by having specific link magnets. Oops, what happened to my screen? Okay, wait. My app just crashed. So just give me a minute. Let me see. Work this one out. Oops, not this. Happens when you do live. Happens when you do live. Okay, let me try this again. Okay, let's see. Can I see it? There you go. Let me see. All right. We are back. Okay. Let me move this aside. Okay. Where is... There you go. So, like I say, we can filter upfront by doing link mailers. So, you may have a link mailers of 10 ways to look after your dogs, right? Or 10 ways to train your cat, for example, or maybe whatever other animals. Now, by virtue of that, if I'm a dog owner, and if I see a link mailer, you can either do it through social media posts or you can run ads. All right, it's entirely up to you. Okay. So by virtue of seeing the link mailer, which is related to a specific topic, right? Then anybody who clicks on this obviously goes into the pool where dog owners are, right? If I click on, let's say, B, who go to group B and subsequently group C. So Chris, the benefit of segmenting is you now are very clear with regards to what the audience are looking for and what sort of content that you can serve to this audience. And you know that it's going to be very specific. It helps you along the way because even when you start to make offers, for example, you're talking to audience who are so-called, like Google says, in the market. Okay. Whether they buy or not, it depends on your offer, obviously. But at the very least, you know your message is related to that specific audience. So segmenting helps you this way. So these three methods allows you to segment your audience, right? It is very subtle. Writing the contents obviously would be, the art itself, how you want to write it. It may not necessarily be so obvious, but you know very well every time you write an email content and you want to segment them, you know these are the three groups and these are the links that you can do in order for you to categorize and send them into the appropriate groups. Okay, Chris, I hope that helps. Moving on. Okay, now this is the next question from Chi Beng, and he's asking, in what scenario would you recommend that we use cold outreach or cold immediate email outreach? And he's still worried about people reporting spam. There is a valid concern when it regards to cold email. The concept of cold email is this: we are sending emails to people who don't know about us. Okay. And there is a high chance that, certain people may react negatively, especially if your cold email is not written well. And you're just saying, hey, I've got this. Would you like to join me? That kind of thing. And the person obviously, I don't even know you. Why are you in my inbox? They will report you spam. Okay. So the idea of cold email is it has to be very subtle, has to be very well researched for the audience. Now, to answer your question, in what scenario that you recommend using cold email, one of the scenario is this: you have a relatively small target audience. Now, why cold email works primarily for the B2B space is because you know exactly which type of customers require your services. Okay. So let's say in my case, for example, if I do IT security, I'm not going to approach companies which has less than, let's say, 100 seats or 100 staff, for example. I may want to approach, depending if I'm selling high-end IT security stuff, I may want to approach on companies which have at the very least 1,000 staff or maybe 500 staff. Now, by virtue of that, I would know within the market, within the countries that let's say I want to target for, from the database itself, I would know which sort of companies that I would be able to approach. So that's why when you have a small target audience, you can run ads. Because if you run a Facebook ads, for example, at the very least, you need about 500,000 to 1 million broad audience in order for you to get the ads running to have some return. But then again, if you target, let's say, 1 million users, or at the very least as broad as possible, but your audience size is only your real audience size is probably maybe 1,000 companies. Why would you want to run ads? Unless you have extra budget, yes, right? Or you want to create awareness, yes. But if you want to have that one-to-one conversation, you want to be able to book calls for them to know who is interested and so on and so forth, then cold email will be great for this. Okay. Number two is if you want to build connections, right? So for example, let's say you're a company and you want to get some media exposure. There are only so many media outlets or media companies out there. So you're not going to run ads. You're going to find out, for example, who are the editors or who are the person running a particular show. Okay, let's say you want to go into 60 Minutes and you would need to find out who are the producers and all those things. So writing cold email is directly to that particular person, or maybe a group of person related to that particular show, right? Or either the media outlets. Okay, let's say you want to reach, for example, Financial Times, and you want to reach the editors for, let's say, the IT section or marketing section, for example. You're not going to write to everyone, right? You're going to look for who are the editors for the marketing section, and you then write your emails to them. Now, obviously, the person don't know you, so your cold email is going to start with introduction and start with a benefit that is useful, or a benefit that is related to FT, right, or Financial Times. Why must they feature you? Why must they even bother to look at you? So that's why the tactic or technique behind writing cold emails is different from inbound, because inbound, people give you permission, and you have a little bit more leeway because you are inviting them into your house. So when they come to your house, you are the host. So you decide how you want things to be run, and it's entirely up to you to do it. And if they don't like being the guest, they can always leave, which means they can always unsubscribe. Whereas in cold email, you're reaching out to somebody, you're going to the office, for example, and then knocking on doors and say, hey, my name is so and so, and I have this. Would you like to look at it? Okay. So that's in general in life, inbound marketing and cold email. So that's what the difference is. Okay. What else? The third one. Small target audience, yes. Connections, yes. Well, generally these are the ones, right? The approach also, for example, if you do LinkedIn, okay, and the reason why I use the example LinkedIn, it could be Facebook, wherever it is, and somebody likes your post and somebody commented on your post, and that person seemed to be rather interested in whatever you do, and you want to strike that conversation with them. Obviously, you can do in platform, which means you can DM the person, or you can also find their related emails and follow up and send a cold email out. So now you got on platform, and you can also reach out by email. So in any ways, you've got two touch points that you can create to build that awareness and also continue that conversation. So these are generally the three method or that you can use for you to do cold email outreach. Right? It's hyper targeted. The key word is hyper targeted. You know exactly who you want to target. You know specifically who within the organization that you want to establish connection with, and you want to reach out to do that. So that's how you do it. Now, with regards to spam, it's very simple. You need to make sure when your cold outreach is you're not selling. You just want to reach out to establish a connection, to get them to reply to your email, to start that conversation, so that you can find out more, and you can also have this, by virtue of having conversation, you know exactly what they want, right? Although you may have done your research. So the key thing about cold email is you need to spend a fair bit of time to do your research. And the good thing is, in this day and age with the internet, it's relatively easy to find out about a company, about your target recipient, for example, and you can use that as a conversation point. All right. I'll call it, let's say, icebreaker to actually start that conversation. Okay. And along the way, what you do is then you can, depending on their needs, then you can make your offers. Right. So this is how it's slightly longer, but it is very precise. Either yes or no, or the right person. That's how you do it. So, Shibeng, I hope I've addressed your question. Don't worry about spam. If you want to do cold email, you got to make sure you got to put the interest of the target audience upfront first before try to propose whatever you want to sell. That you have to have some patience, but you want to have that connection. So it's great. And if it's small audience and happen to be in B2B, awesome. Cold email is great for that. Okay. So with that, wow, not bad. 25 minutes. Quick one. If you like what you have gone through with me for the last 43 episodes, we've done that, right? I'm broadcasting on YouTube, on Facebook, my profile, and also LinkedIn. And if you like some of the content and you find that, well, I like to do this, but I don't know how, and could you help me? I've got done for you a suite of done for you services specifically related to emails, from building authentication to make sure that your emails land in your inbox and not spam, to managing your email list, for example, to even do cold email outreach. Go to this website, ants.digital, my website, /DFY, which stands for Done For You. go through the suite of services that's available, pick one that's suitable for you. If not, you can also reach out and we can have a conversation as to what you actually want. And if I can help you, I will. If not, then I will direct you to the right resources to help you along. Okay. Same thing, there's a QR code there that you can scan and it will lead you to this particular page. All right. So with that, any other questions from Bob? Are you still around? If you're still around, thank you. Thanks for attending this. We are into minute 26. Not bad. On time. So with that, thank you so much for attending this live. Thank you to Bob, of course, and every one of you that's watching. And if you're watching this replay, thank you so much. And I'll see you again. Oh, before I forget, just a quick one. If you want to send questions to me for me to review and address, like Chris and Chiming, for example, go to this site, ants.digital/ask, submit your questions, and I will answer them in the following week, which is next week, next Wednesday. And I go live every week at 9 p.m. And I hope to hear from you. I hope to have your questions and, help you as much as I can possibly can. Okay? So with that, thank you so much. And have a good evening. I'll see you next Wednesday. Cheers.